Tonight you find yourself sitting in an old wooden carriage, the kind with curved overhead panels painted a soft cream color, and the seat beneath you is upholstered in a deep burgundy fabric that has worn smooth and gentle over many years of quiet journeys. The train moves slowly, very slowly, through a mountain pass that is deep in the middle of winter, and outside the window the snow lies thick and undisturbed on every surface, on the wide flat rocks and the sloping pine branches and the long open meadows that tilt away into the grey-blue distance. You are warm inside the carriage, wrapped in the particular warmth that comes from a small brass lamp burning just above your shoulder, casting a circle of amber light across the wooden paneling and the edge of the seat beside you, and the warmth settles around you like something soft and familiar. The sound of the train is a steady, rhythmic clicking, the wheels finding each join in the rails and passing over it with a low, even sound that comes up through the floor and through the seat and into your body in the gentlest way, a kind of pulse, a kind of breathing, and you feel it in your legs and in your back and in the palms of your hands where they rest open on your lap. The carriage sways very slightly from side to side, a slow, rocking motion, the way a boat moves on still water, and with each small sway the lamp above you shifts its light just a little, so the shadows along the ceiling move in a long, unhurried arc and then settle again. The click of the rails continues beneath you, steady and low, and the sway continues, and the amber light continues, and there is nothing else that needs your attention. You turn your face toward the window, and you look out at the evening. The sky beyond the glass is a deep, soft blue, the color that comes just after the last of the daylight has gone but before the full dark arrives, and in that blue there are the faint shapes of the mountains rising on either side of the pass, their ridgelines smooth with snow, their lower slopes thick with dark pine trees whose branches hold the snow in long, drooping curves. The window is cold at its edges, and if you let your fingers rest against the glass you can feel that cold, a clean, even coldness, while the rest of the carriage remains warm around you. The snow on the ground outside catches the last of the blue light and holds it, so the landscape glows very faintly, a pale and quiet glow, and the train moves through it slowly, the engine somewhere far ahead pulling the carriages through the pass at a pace that lets you see everything, the individual trees, the way the snow has drifted against a low stone wall, the narrow frozen stream that runs beside the track for a while and then curves away into the trees. The air inside the carriage carries a faint smell of old wood and something like beeswax, the kind of smell that belongs to places that have been carefully kept for a long time, and underneath that there is the faintest trace of coal smoke from the engine, drifting back along the train and finding its way in through the small gaps around the window frame, and it is not an unpleasant smell, it is the smell of a journey, of motion through cold air, of a machine doing its slow and patient work. Through the mountains. You breathe it in without thinking about it, the way you breathe in the smell of a room you have known for